everyone, welcome to Bikini Design Club. Today we will be sewing our Underwire bikini pattern top called Rudi. Rudi has a plunge neckline. It only has 3 pattern pieces, so it's very easy to sew. And I have a surprise for you. If you watch this video till the end, you have to watch it to find what the surprise is. I hope you like it. But let's go ahead and start preparing our pattern pieces and let's sew it. So today I'm going to be showing you which pattern pieces we need and what supplies we are going to use to sew Rudi. So Rudi has a center bridge, very small piece. If you haven't seen our basics video, please do so, because we explain everything you need to know before you start sewing underwire patterns, okay? So this is the small bridge that we are going to have here in the middle. This is the cup which we need to do a symmetric pattern with a dart here, so very simple, and a strap there. And then we have the side and back piece, which in our case it's only one piece here, and it will be attached here on the pattern. I will be using this purple 𝗨𝗨𝗏 fabric for our bikini top, and for the straps probably I will use some yellow because I like the contrast of the colors, but I will see. As my lining, I will be using the power mesh, the beige power mesh, this one. And for the bridge, of course, I will be using the non-stretch stabilizer fabric, which I have here in white. My wire channeling will be this one in beige, in nudes, and I have my wires here for the plunge style. And of course, a clasp to close the back part of my pattern. So let's start by cutting all our pattern pieces. This is the other one I was talking, sorry, before we cut the pieces. This is the other one. This was just a test and it's not finished, and it's going to be thrown away, but just to show you that if I don't have power mesh in the middle here, so it has a lot of stretch, and I have 2 swimmer fabrics, this one and another one on the inside. Of course, it's not reversible because you have the channel, but nevertheless, if you want, you can also sew it with this option. So let's go ahead and start cutting the fabrics. Just like on our other pieces that we have sewn on our other patterns, you have to see the grain line on the pattern. Don't mind this one, this was just my test, but you have the grain line mentioned on the pattern, and you have to align the greater stretch of your fabric with the grain line, and please don't forget that, because that's something important. The great stretch for any fabric on this case should be horizontally, okay? So I'm gonna cut 2 of this. I folded the fabric because I want 2 symmetric, so that's why I folded, and then I'm gonna do the same for my wing, and for the bridge I only need 1 small pattern piece, but I will cut 2 because this piece I want it to be with the same fabric front and back. So now that I have my pattern pieces here ready, let me just show you. I have my bridge with my stabilizer and 2 main fabrics, and we can already go ahead and prepare these for the sewing. Well, they are connected. This was not intentional. I'm gonna place the stabilizer here in the middle, and I'm like a sandwich, and I'm going to place right sides facing together my other main fabric. So my main fabric right side is facing, both of them are facing the so I have here my bridge, and this is the stabilizer, and I want the stabilizer to stay in the middle between the 2 main fabrics, like a sandwich, right? So I'm gonna place my right sides facing down on my table, then I'm gonna place my stabilizer, and then this one has the right side up on the table, so right sides facing together, they are gonna be aligned, the 3 of them. And I'm already going to pin this because this is something that we can, when we go to the sewing machine, we can already prepare. And we are going to sew here where I'm pinning and also this edge here. We should leave the two sides open. We don't really need to close them. So just this is ready to sew. Then our cups, the first thing I'm going to do is to sew the darts. And to sew the darts are slightly curved, so you just need to align both sides of the dart. You can pin or you can improvise on your sewing machine, but I'm gonna pin just to show you. And when I sew this, I'm actually going to start sewing 1/2 centimeter from the edge, and I'm gonna start here and come all the way around here, or the opposite. I will start on the outside here, and then I will come when you reach the 5 millimeters from the edge here. You try and do a small curve here and continue until the fold of your fabric. Then I'm gonna do 2 or 3 stitches more, and I'm gonna leave the threads long and not going back on my machine, because I will then tie a knot to make a better finish. I only need to do that for my main fabric because I don't want the point of the bust darts to stick out, but for my lining I don't need to be so careful, but I'm gonna still do it properly. So I'm gonna prepare all my darts, folding the fabric and pinning, okay? Then other thing we can already do is our wings. Right sides facing, so this right side is facing up. We will place our power mesh and we will pin, and we can already go ahead also here and sew the top here of our back band, and also our wing and the lower part also. So you can do this for both pieces. So just pin and prepare for sewing. The other thing we will also sew is a strap. I ended up doing the same color of the fabric, but I really want to have a yellow touch somewhere, so I'm still thinking where I'm gonna do that today, but we'll get there. So do the same, pin, and let's go to our sewing machine and sew. Oh, another detail, when you go to your sewing machine, and this is important, we will apply elastic on the edge here and here, and we will place the elastic on top of our main fabric. If you place the elastic on your lining, in this case on your power mesh, be sure that the power mesh will be seen on the outside. So if you decide to do anything different than what we are doing here, don't forget that probably the pattern pieces should need any alteration. If probably they can have alterations if you change the way you sew this pattern. So if you follow exactly our suggestion, the pattern pieces are designed accordingly, okay? So let's just pin this and go to our sewing machine. For the main fabric, when you are preparing the dart, don't forget that you must fold the fabric so the right sides are facing together here, right? Because you are going to create a seam here. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew all this. I'm gonna show you in detail just because I want you to see how I do the darts, but the rest I will fast forward because I really think if you are doing an Underwire bikini, you already know how to apply elastic on a swimsuit, so I will not take you long and you lose your time with watching me doing it. So let's prepare all these pieces now. So to start, I'm going to be using my straight stitch machine to do the 1/2 centimeter seam on both sides of my bridge. And since this has no stretch whatsoever, it's not a problem to use your straight stitch machine to do this stitch. Now, as I told you, to sew the darts, I'm gonna start on my edge where it's the lower part of my dart. I'm gonna sew, and when I'm gonna reach here, and you can do this first on your lining so that you can test these methods, and when I reach my end here, I'm gonna continue stitching 2 or 3 times more, and I'm not going to go back, and I'm also going to leave threads loose, so 10 centimeters, so that then I can tie a knot, and I will repeat the process for the 4 pieces. Regarding what we have just sewn, just to show you in detail, I did a yellow. I did a zigzag with the matching color of the thread, just because when I reverse this piece to the other side, I want to make sure I do not see white threads. If I had changed my serger to the color of my fabric, I wouldn't need to do this, but I don't have threads for my machine with that color, so with this color, so I had to do this zigzag, and it's the only reason why you see a zigzag here. Then how to finish the darts? Well, very simple. You grab the two threads that you have on the end and you tie 2 knots and you cut, and your dart is ready. And then the only detail that I also do for my dart is, besides cutting here, is I open slightly the corner here, and my pattern pieces for my cups are also ready once you do that to the 3 of them. That's what I'm going to do now. The bridge, I'm just going to trim. If it's not your first time, you know that I always like to trim along the sewing. I don't like to have a lot of threads here. So this piece we can already use the loop turner and turn it to the other side, and the same for our strap. At this point it's only 1, but then I will divide this in 2, and we can also do this for this small loop that I'm going to be using for my back. And you can also go ahead and reverse this to the right side. Before reversing this to the right side, I'm going to trim outside the line, right outside my sewing line. I'm just going to trim the excess fabric because we don't want this piece to be bulky and we don't really need that fabric. So now the piece is ready to be reversed to the right side. Now let's prepare our cups. Right sides facing together, so the right side with the correspondent right side lining, power mesh. Main side facing up on my table because it's where I'm going to apply the elastic, and pin the neckline and under the arm, and we will sew that right in a minute. I'm still deciding on the yellow if I want to go ahead or not, but well, the strap is ready. If I want to use it, I'm gonna decide. Now I also want to tell you something. On the other version I showed you on the beginning of the video, since we have two main fabrics here, you don't care if you see a little bit of the other fabric once this is on your body, right? Despite you don't see it because of the elastic, but even if you see it, you don't mind, right? Here, of course, we do mind. So if you decide to, and this is optional, you can already go ahead and go to your straight stitch machine, and with a zigzag stitch do a cover stitch all the way around the edges of your back piece, on the top one and on the lower one, and this will make sure that this is very stable and you will never see the lining on you when you have it on. I will not do that top stitch, but as I told you, you can do it, and if you want to do it, now it's the correct moment to do it, okay? But I'm not going to do it, and you will see the result on me in the end of the video. So, and if you don't like it, you can then decide to do this on your own. Now, as I told you, under the arm, pin, do the same for the other sides, and let's sew applying our elastic. Something else that we can do is we can take our strap, which at this point I'm going to divide in 2, and once this is done with the elastic applied, with the piece exactly like it is, you grab your strap, align the seam to your lining, so the right side is facing your right side underneath here, and insert your strap here until you reach the top here, and secure the strap with a straight stitch so that your strap is in place. Something else I want to tell you is that if you want to do a wider strap, you can easily do it, and if you need help, just let me know and I will prepare a video, because for larger busts I believe that probably you would need a larger strap than this thin 1 centimeter strap. Okay, I actually made the pattern, I made a pattern for 1.5, and then I forgot and I made only one here, but now I'm just going to probably I'm gonna change the pattern so that you can have the 1 centimeter strap, and if you want to do any strap that is different from the 1 centimeter, once it's ready, of course, you will then need to just adjust this area here to fit the correct strap. But I hope I didn't mess up. Again, elastic, once that's done, insert your strap to the top here, secure with a straight stitch, and then we'll be back on the table. As I've told before, this is a great pattern if you are just starting to do your underwire bikini tops, and this is your first one, underwire, so this is good for beginners. But of course, if you are a complete beginner on swimwear, this is not a good pattern for you, because of course I'm not going to go in detail here. This is an advanced pattern because you must already know how to apply elastic, how to apply the straps, how to use the loop turner. So this is for beginners, but for whoever already know how to sew a swimsuit or a bikini but wants to start sewing underwires, just to make this clear. And now in detail, I've done exactly what I've told you to do. And just a small detail that I've also mentioned a lot on my previous videos is that I always secure my threads of the overlock with a straight line here, then I cross to the other side, and then I cross to the other edge here. And this is because now I'm going to trim all the excess fabric outside the line that I've just sewn, and this will allow me to have a very nice finish on the strap on the other side. Let me show you. As you can see, the finish of the strap is very nice, and this is why I do that specific way of sewing. Again, if you want to do a top stitch, this is the moment for you to do it. Do a top stitch all around your neckline and here. I'm not gonna do it, but if you want, again, this is the right moment to do it, okay? Let's turn our top to the right side and let's do the alignment of our back piece with our front. I've already checked with my pattern that I have my pattern piece on the correct position. So my pattern piece is aligned here on the edge on the top here, like so. And so we only need to make sure that our pattern for the cup is flat here in the front, and we will place right sides facing together like so. We will pin over the 4 layers of fabric. If you want, you can sew these 2 together first to make it easier for you, but I'm gonna go ahead and sew the 4 layers all at once. And I'm going to align very carefully the back strap with my front, making sure I'm not stretching any of the fabrics. And I'm going to do a straight line, half a centimeter or less from the edge. And this is important because we will then apply the channeling here, and we don't want to see the line that we are going to do now. So make sure you do not go more than half a centimeter from the edge of your fabrics, okay? But make sure you combine the 4 of them, and that's also very important. I have to balance my presser foot because otherwise my machine will stuck. So I just put a piece of fabric on the back there, and now my presser foot is leveled, so I can go ahead and sew. So now it's time to secure our channeling to our top. As you can see, we have here our wing, and it's facing up on the table, and we need to apply our softer side facing up. We need to apply our channeling on our top. And to do so, we are going to align the channeling piece here on the edge of the fabric, and we are going to sew very near the edge here, all along here until the end there. And that's why I told you to do this line here, this stitching, less than 8 millimeters from the edge, because we don't want these stitches to be visible. Only this one will be like a mark on our pattern. But another thing I want to tell you is to close the inside of your channel before you do this, because once it's on the pattern, you will not be able to sew this small bit here so that the wire doesn't come out. So first a straight stitch on the channeling here, and then apply the channeling on your fabric, doing the curve until you reach your almost your limit of your back there, here. Okay, and then we will be back on the table, and we will do this for both cups. So I've changed my threads to nude because I want this to be discreet, but I've closed the wire channeling here as I told you. And now I'm going to place it on my pattern like so. I'm going to use a lot of pins to make sure that this is made perfect, and I'm going to use a lot of pins, and that's it. Do this for both sides. Actually, I'm not going to use pins because it makes my job harder. So I'm just going to pin the two fabrics together just to make sure that they are together and in place, just this small area here. And then I'm going to my straight stitch machine, and with my straight stitch line I'm gonna sew, and I'm gonna with my hands feed the channeling and the pattern on my machine, and I will do the line, and you will see it's not that hard. I'm sure you can do it because I've done it before and I was able to do it, so all can do it. So let's go ahead and do both our channels and secure them to our top. Let me just tell you one more thing, sorry, before we head to our machine. When you reach this area where you have so many layers, don't worry, it will not be bulky, I promise. When you reach this area, don't forget that your line here will be on this side of this line that you have previously sewn the fabrics together. So this will all be inside, hidden underneath the channel, okay? So let's go. This time it is the one. Let's go. So we just came back from sewing this line here, and the next step will be placing our center bridge between these two pieces. But before that, we will trim all the excess fabric that we have here. So very carefully, not to cut something that you don't want, and never to cut the channel. We will trim all the excess fabric that we have underneath our channel, okay? Because when we fold this and we sew it again, we don't want all this excess fabric inside here. So this is the most important now, is just to trim all the excess fabric that we have underneath our channel, okay? So let's do it. Time to connect the bridge between the two cups. And despite the pattern being with this size, And this is the theory of the lower part of the bridge. It means that you would have the seam here and you would have this space between the cups. I'm gonna choose doing 1 to 1.5 centimeters between the cups because I really think it will be nicer. So I think you will do the same. We will move this until we have more or less the space between the cups that we want. And I'm going to do just a stitch here connecting the bridge to the channel, because afterwards we will fold this and we will sew around here on this edge of the channeling, allowing the channeling to be folded and ready to insert the wire through the under the arm hole that is open. And in this area here, of course, the channeling is leaning towards the cup sides. So if you want to sew with this side facing up, you can, but I will sew with the channeling facing up so I can exactly control the line that I'm going to stitch, okay? So first secure this to one of the sides, the bridge, to one of the sides, then fold the channel and sew the channel, and then we will do exactly the same on the other side. So as you can see here, I have sewn the bridge here, okay, so it is secure. I'm now going to trim the excess. I don't want a lot of fabric here, and it is secure. And now I'm just going to fold like I've told you. Let me just trim a little bit more. I am going to fold as I told you before, and with this side up on my table, I will sew a line on the edge here all along until the other edge, and then we just need to repeat the process, okay? So just sew this here and fold and do exactly the same on this side. So our center piece is done. As I told you, I was going to leave 1 centimeter. That's what I did. At this point you may decide to leave everything as it is and it's almost done. You would just insert the wires with the collar to the center through the channel, okay, and then you close with a small stitch. But in my case, before I do that, and the other final detail was, it's going to be placing the clasp, right? So that is something that for sure you know how to do. It's just going through the fabric, and then you do a small fold. You need to make sure that the band size for you it's the correct size before you sew it into the clasp. But today, instead of doing this right now, I'm first going to attach a small loop on the back with a ring or a strap adjuster, because my straps, instead of going on my neck, I will still be able to use this on my neck, but if I want, I will also have the option of tying my straps to this ring on the back, and so they will go over my shoulders instead of on my neck. And that's one of my preferences, so it's a personal preference. And so I'm going to insert these small loops on the back part, and that's why I cannot place the clasp now, because I need to access the place where I'm going to place my loop. And this is something very simple. We are just going to cut the threads here. On the inside we insert the loop, we sew the loop here a little bit carefully, and then when we reverse it will be outside it and it will be perfect. And that's the yellow detail I'm going to do today. So if you want to do this, follow me. If you don't, just secure your clasps, put your wires, and you're done. But for now, let's decide where we want to place our loops on our back. I'm going to put it on me to decide exactly where I want it, or not. Let me think. I usually like this towards the middle, so probably I will measure like 5 centimeters from the edge, and place my loop, and I will do the same on the other side. I went to my straight stitch and I did just a stitch here to secure the two straps together, so that I'm sure that when I align them now inside they do not twist. So you will not see it because we will then cut it, so no problem on the color of the threads or anything. I still want to give you another option in case you don't have clasps, and in case you don't have rings, you can also do the same that we are doing here. The loop can be just a piece of fabric if you want to do the loop. And then on the back, instead of a clasp, if you want to make the straps adjustable, you just fold this in the edge here and you sew a channel. So your strap will still be able to go down here, and then you tie a knot. You can also do an additional strap just to attach the back part, and this is over your neck, or you can do these straps longer and come on your shoulders and then tie on the back. We have those options on the Maryland top, so if you want to take a look, we have made the tutorial with that finish, so you can check it out if you want. But in this case today I am going to place clasps. It's the finish that I want for myself this time. And so before I sew them, I always just put a pin and check on my body to make sure that I'm closing this on the correct spot, because the band sometimes is a little bit different than what we expect. Despite the patterns we have a lot of sizes for this, and so you can for sure match your own size. But I always want to make sure that the band is my size, so I always prefer to place this with a pin, test on myself, and then I will sew. Of course, we have to do this even with exactly, or we will risk having the center clasp, instead of being in the center, moved to one of the sides. I really like having the rings very near the center, because I like the straps to instead of going straight, I like them to go towards the center. So this is an option. You can place your rings further out or on the same alignment. This is up to you, okay? I can even cross them. This is completely up to you. So now I'm gonna put it on and I'm gonna test, then I'm gonna sew, and I'm gonna share a few pictures. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay with us until the end, because I still want to share with you the pictures for this one. So on this one I was not lazy and I placed my zipper foot, so I went much closer to my clasp and it turned out very nice. And on this one I was a little bit lazy and I didn't replace my foot from the machine, my presser foot, so it's a bit further away from the clasp. So I would advise you to also use your zipper foot so you can go closer to your clasp. And now I'm just going to trim. I already placed my wires and I'm gonna share some pictures with you.